All right. Oh gosh, I think that's it. So a little bit of technical difficulty, but no big deal. We survived it. Hi, everyone. Welcome to No Guts, No Glory Live. I am your host, Patti Zorr, and joining me today is Lisa Frattali. Did I say that right, Lisa?
It's great. Sure.
Okay. We are live today, and to everyone watching, we encourage you, please start a watch party so we can get this message out to all those who need to hear it. Um, Gosh, what an exciting day we have today. I'm so excited to introduce you to Lisa. And just a couple housekeeping things real quick. I do want to let you know that my teammate Casey is in the comments. So please, if you have any questions, please post them below. She will be sending them to me throughout the event. We'd love to answer them for you. And finally, for those of us just joining us, so the series is called No Guts, No Glory Live. And throughout each episode, I have guests come on and join me and share their stories about a time in their career that took guts. So, Lisa, if you are ready to get started, how are you feeling today?
Oh, good. Great. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Patti. Thank you. Thank
Good. Yes. I'm so excited to have you here. So, Lisa, would you just start off by telling us, telling the audience a little bit more about what it is that you do?
I am a coach. I call myself a wellness coach. It's related to, of course, health and wealth. And I teach people flow, which is it's an acronym for feeling love over worry. And I actually teach people how to understand their physiology, their biology, their psychology, and their spirituality. And from my experience, you're never going to create anything new, lasting, or different in your life if you've got something going on in your physical space, your body and your mind. And that's my experience. So creativity goes out the window when you're preoccupied with something in your body. And that's my story. So
Wow, that's very interesting. Okay, so I think we're going to get into that a little bit more. Um, in the meantime, though, to start us off, will you tell us a little bit about a time in your career that took guts?
I was a trader for 11 years, stocks and options. And at the end of it, mostly options anyway, the end of that career, I became very ill and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And so it took me about 7 months to figure out 14 different doctors. There was black mold in my office, and I sat this is a different home, but it was a wall behind me. There was a bathroom that somebody did something to and put a hole in a pipe. And so there was water leaching probably months. And towards the end of it, before I actually conceded to being sick, I was depressed. I couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I had all kinds of things going on with my business, being a trader. And I was thinking all day long. That's what I did, putting positions on. And I couldn't think straight. I lost my eyesight for a brief time. There were all kinds of things that happened to me physically because of toxins and pollutants, and my immune system was completely shot. And so the doctors thought most of the doctors that I went to in the Northeast, I live in southern New Jersey, thought I was nuts. And I finally found a doctor here in southern New Jersey, Dr. John McGrath, who said, "You're not." And he's an ENT. And I started my allergy shots, but I changed my life. I changed where I lived. I changed my diet. I started taking really good supplements. I'd always been a science, I have a scientific background and I love science. So I was always believed in wellness, but I was living on the edge. I mean, I had stress and caffeine was, I lived the American life, basically. I thought that I ate healthy. I would go running after the market closed. But my stress level was through the roof. from all angles of my, my family, my business, my husband's business, my extended family. There were all kinds of issues, like a lot of us. And I was at the age, I was in my 50s when it happened. And they just, male doctors mostly thought I was nuts. And I knew I wasn't. I was like, nope, that's not it.
So how did the conversation happen with the doctor EMT who figured out that it was mold? What were the steps that happened? Were there questions that he had asked you? Because right, like molds, you hear about black mold. I guess, unless you see it, you don't really know it's there, but you could feel
Right.
the side effects from it. Obviously, because you're inhaling the toxins. So how did you discover that it was black mold that was causing all of these side effects that were happening to you, physically, mentally, emotionally?
Yeah. I, I had to leave my house. I didn't know. I was Googling things. I went to the emergency room at first, and because I couldn't catch my breath. And plus I had allergies for years. So I was also addicted to nasal spray.
Oh,
And
wow.
yes. And I know there are a lot of people, and it was like a secret addiction. I didn't want anybody to know because it was like, oh my God, that's so bad. Like, yeah, it is, but I can't breathe without it. And I would wean myself off of it. So it was a combination of things. And me removing myself from the environment, going to a lot of different people, a lot of natural healing kind of people. And they all had their own agenda. Some of them really helped me, but I went down, I call it the rat hole with a lot of them, like very scary science. And I was the guinea pig. And by the time I got to Dr. McGrath, it was probably towards the end. A lot of that was out of my system. But I had, he saw my history of all the things that I had taken, what I had experienced. I had lost about 30 pounds. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating. He'd seen it before, but he read my history, and I just said he operated on my nose also because I had a deviated septum, probably from use of nasal spray. I don't know, but he saw my history and he'd seen it. He said, I've been here 20 years. I've seen this. I know what you're experiencing. He said, you're allergic to mold. I was allergic to like everything at that time. But changing my diet really, really helped me a lot. I think I thought it was pretty healthy. I wasn't a junk food person or, fast food, but I learned a lot about the way I ate and the supplements I was taking. And they weren't the greatest. And there's a lot, and it's an unregulated market. And so there's a lot of stuff out there that isn't good for you. And it's confusing. I mean, in everyone's defense who's ill and doesn't feel well, and they don't quite know what's going on with their life, it's a very confusing market, especially now. There's so much, I mean, it's, what is it? Coffee's good one day and then it's not, red meat is good. And that's just snippets. And now we worry about blue lights from our computers and so it never ends, it's they're always saying what's good for us, what's not good for us. Getting back to basics is really helpful.
It's hard to know who to trust or,
yes.
Which articles to trust, even if they're from reputable sources. Yeah, like you said, it's good for you today. And then 3 months from now, we find out, oh no, that's the worst thing you could do for you.
Listening to myself, really. I mean, I walked out of doctors' offices that were trying to give me different meds. And I remember they were younger than me and they thought that they thought they were male doctors. And I said, don't even bother. And I left. Don't even bother. But it took thinking, I don't think that's it. I had people tell me different things about what they thought I had. And I had to have the courage to say, no, that's not it. And that's not it. That's not what I want. So that's not it. I mean, I know that sounds simplistic. I did a lot of research myself because I wasn't sleeping. I was on Google all the time. And it led me to different doctors and different things. And it's not that I picked things to, okay, that's it. It was just, I was like an onion. I had to like peel back the layers. And I really think mold was a euphemism for my life.
Wow.
Yeah, I wasn't taking in all of the good stuff. I was focusing on, it was a downward spiral. I had a lot of stuff in my life from other people, not necessarily mine. They were my family's businesses, other people.
So were you still were you actually on the trading floor, or were
No,
you in the
no,
back offices?
I,
Okay.
I traded at home. I had been a broker in
Okay.
the industry, and I started as an insurance, and then I went to, being a stockbroker. When they called us stockbrokers, it was the mid 90s. I became a broker when I was in my 30s. And I had two little girls. I was a single mom. Um, I loved it because I like learning things, and I really got good at options. But I basically taught myself everything. And they didn't want me, when I was a broker, nobody in the industry cared what you knew. They just wanted you to sell what they wanted you to sell, and go out and look pretty, Lisa, bring in the money. They don't actually say that, but they
Sure.
pretty much say that, to women. I don't know what they say anymore. Probably don't. They can't get away with that anymore. But that's what pretty much was the message. We don't care what you think. Just bring in the money.
So you were a broker, and during this time, then you found out you had these health issues related to black molds. And right, I probably even today, people still struggle to diagnose, what's really happening. Again, because we can't see it, right? We just feel like we're going crazy or something, people are watching us on the outside. And so at what point did you transition from being a broker to doing what you're doing now?
When I got it better, I made a decision when I was sick. I became a coach. I always wanted to be a psychologist, but I went into that field out of college, and I did not like it. And my perspective was different than a lot of people in the field. I worked in it, but I believed in the power of the human spirit. And I didn't even know what that meant at the time. I was very young. When I got it better, which was 2015, I thought, I'm going to go back to my first love, which was helping people understand why they do what they do. Because I wanted to understand it. That's why people become, that's what I was told. You have to go into therapy yourself when you're on your way to becoming a psychologist. And I wanted to be happy, and I couldn't understand why I felt so miserable all the time. In spite of the fact that my life looked like I had it all. And I think there's a lot of people like that, a nice house and a nice, marriage, kids, education, all that stuff, all the trappings of success until you hit the wall. And everybody, I think, hits the wall at some point, in some way. And usually it happens multiple, like in threes, it's your relationship, money, health. A lot of times that happens to people, like everything is disintegrating and what's going on? Help. So yeah.
I'm sure a lot of us watching, we've all been there and have experienced that. So can you give us some more insight into what it is you do for people today? And at what point typically do people contact you? And I'm going to assume maybe sometimes it's, this is maybe you're almost a last resort for them, right? They've lost everything, they're not fulfilled, they don't have purpose, they can't find who they are, and there's so many other things that are happening. Perhaps there's been trauma, anxiety, depression, and all of that right now is extremely high with everything with COVID. Those numbers are increasing daily. And so when should maybe somebody look within themselves and think about contacting somebody like you, versus maybe waiting until, I don't want to say until it's too late, but they're really just at their end? What is a good time? What is something we should look for in ourselves when, perhaps thinking about like, maybe I should reach out for help or find somebody like Lisa to support me?
Um, I think the people that were like I was, do-it-yourselfers. I was the
Okay.
ultimate do-it-yourselfer. Like, nope, I don't need you. I'll figure it out myself. When you realize, I think everybody gets to a point. Oh, I did when I was sick. I was making agreements with God. I mean, I was like, what is it you want from me? I think when you get to that point and you're, I don't know, maybe other people have never gotten there, when you really feel your mortality is on the line, like,
Yeah.
oh my God. I don't think people have to get to that point of it. I think you psychologically get to that point where a lot of people get to that point where you see all the different changes in the world, like especially now and I wrote a small book about it. It's called Me, Money, and Mold. And I said, it used to be we were running from tigers. Now we're running from technology, and it's invasive in our lives, and it's taken over a lot of people. I see it in my granddaughter. She's on TikTok, and no offense against TikTok. I don't know enough about it. Well, we were talking about it before we went live, that the things change at such a clip in our lives that once you get it, it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
It's trying to stay irrelevant. It's trying to stay relevant in your own life. I think that's what it is finding your place in the world and saying, this is who I am. And I don't need another degree, and I don't need another certification, and I don't need to learn anything else. I just want to be happy right where I am. I'm enough and there's all kinds of coaching you can do. I see all these people being certified for what I just said, brain coaching, I'm enough coaching. Like, okay. There's a lot of coaches out there. When I went into the industry, I met a lot of them, and I thought everybody got the same memo I did. And my perspective was so different because I came from mental health, and I saw some really sick people, and I felt for them, and they knew that. It's one of the reasons why I left that industry. You have to detach from that. But for the average person, I don't think there is an average person, first of all. I just think that people get to that point where they like, okay, I need help. I just want to talk to somebody. I don't really want to take another thing, or, maybe it's a program, but a lot of programs don't work. They want you to drink their Kool-Aid.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think. Anyway, that's my perspective. Like, you do this and it's, you're going to be okay. You got to do this and then you're going to be okay. You're like, nah, I don't want to do that. I mean, that was me. Like, because of trading, I was such a bottom line person. Like, just tell me what I got to do and I'll do it.
Yeah.
Tell me what I got to take. Tell me what I got to do. Just give it to me and I'll do it. So I think there's people like that. Like, no bait and switch. No, don't blow smoke. Just tell me straight what it is. And that's the kind of coach I am, I guess. I treat people like I want to be treated.
Yeah. Well, and we all want it different ways. I'm a lot like you too. I'm like, just give it to me straight. Tell me how it is. I'm the same way. But I know, there's people out there, like you said, what is the average person, right? We all just like, coaching in different ways. And it's interesting, working with a coach because, sometimes it's hard. We can't get out of our own way. We can't see beyond,
Yeah.
what's happening to us, whether it's turmoil or anxiety or, our outside environment that's affecting us. Sometimes it's hard to see beyond that. And so having someone from the outside,
Yes,
observing and questioning and, really probably has a much different perspective than we do, because we're probably constantly looking inwards. Sometimes it's hard to look out.
yes.
And so, yeah, I mean, gosh, so many benefits from working with somebody again, and who probably doesn't know all of the baggage that you carry, right? But we'll eventually get into what's really happening. And I think even like you said, we may be going through, even physical, um, having some physical issues, but not even really realizing it, that that's what's happening to us, right? Again, because we're just stuck in it and what's happening every day and not really paying attention to what's happening in our own bodies. And sometimes I think having someone like you almost even be an advocate for us or really help us thrive.
I was just going to say that. I was just going to say that I feel like I am an advocate for the person. It's almost like when I was sick, I remember saying to my husband, I went to a lot of things by myself, doctor's appointments, but I couldn't think straight. And when you're sick and you really, I dropped everything. I left my life, literally left my home, trashed everything. I was like, I got to figure this out. Most people don't have to get to that point, but you need an advocate, somebody who is totally objective and can look at you and say, and it's not that I would tear people down at all. That's not it at all. I think people have done a lot of good things in their lives, and they keep trying to, I say, turn themselves into pretzels. Okay, how is it now? Am I good now? Like, should I do this? And no, you're good. It's just probably a tweak. Whatever it is, you probably have it already.
So you're involved in a really special program with Carrie Oberbrenner, and I would love to have you tell us more about that.
I am an unhackable coach, and I met Carrie because I'm writing another book, and so I'm in his other program to write a book, and he's launching this book August 24th, Unhackable, and I don't remember the rest of the title, but it's also a program. That's a coaching program. And I just said this to him. I was just on a Zoom. I said, it is science and spirituality combined. The two warring forces that were always like, no, you were either a scientist regarding our awareness and our consciousness, or you were spiritual. And now they realize it's one and the same. It really is. It's your different perspectives of the same thing. Like we're all energy, we're all spiritual, right? You can't get away from it. You really can't. You can try, but and this program is like nothing ever. I said it's a masterpiece. It's what I would have done. So I was in the process of doing. I read the book Stealing Fire. I've given it to people. I've listened to it, and of course I've taken this Carrie's course, and it's right. I love it. It's life changing. I can't stop talking about it. I did it. And I just think, oh my gosh, I can't wait for people to do this with me. It really, it's life changing. I don't know, I'm probably not explaining it enough, but it is, it's like nothing anybody's ever done before. That's what I would say. It's 30 days. It'll change your life. It'll get you focused onto your idea, whatever it is that you want to do with your life. It'll also get you thinking. And that's the point.
Oh gosh. Well, Casey, again, who's in the comments, if you could post a link to Unhackable. Carrie Oberbrenner is a client for NG Enterprises. He's a book launch client for us, and we're just thrilled to be a part of his book launch. The book is called Unhackable, and it is coming out October 24th. There are some events that are happening, so definitely, take a moment, check it out. It really, truly is life-changing. Lisa, maybe I could ask you, what does it mean to you to be unhackable?
Oh, for so many years, because I was a single mom and always like trying to change the world. My world. I wasn't present with my kids. I was never home. And then of course, when I was trading, my husband would come home from work, and I said this in my book, we'd have conversations, and I couldn't tell you what I said. I'm not kidding. I'd go back into my office. I worked at home. I'd have dinner, I'd clean up, I'd go back into the office. And that was my life. I was majorly hacked.
Oh my gosh.
In a big way, that I was so focused on what I did. Thank goodness I got sick. I had no life. I mean, not everybody gets like that, but I think a lot of us do. People keep piling on more and more. With this, you realize it's maybe going to sound scary, but you realize your time here is limited in life. Nobody wants to realize that, but it is. What is it that you really want to do? Like, I'm glad I got sick. I didn't want to do that forever. Um, I can see doing what I do now forever, because this is what I intended to do when I was 16 years old. I wanted to be a psychologist. And I saw Dr. Leo Biscaglia talk on TV. And I said, I want to do what he's doing. I didn't necessarily want to be a psychologist. I wanted to help people feel the relief I could see on their faces about what he was talking about. He talked about love. And it's not necessarily just romantic love. It's love for yourself. What is it you want to do with your life? You want to be happy. And being unhackable helps you focus on what it is you really want to do with your life. So
yeah, I can tell you, I can really relate to that message. For a long time, I didn't really feel fulfilled in my career. I was just kind of going through the motions, but I thought that that's just how it was, right? And it took a little bit of guts
yeah,
to step out of my comfort zone and to really challenge myself and go out and truly make a change. And I'm just more fulfilled now than I've ever been. And, I get to meet people like you, and it's just so exciting. And the world has really opened up. And so, yeah, it's exciting. You really can, you can do it. You can, have a career. You can love what you do. I say, I work harder than I've ever worked, but I'm more motivated than I've ever been. And it's so exciting to really love what you do, and you really can have it. And so I think, yeah, Lisa, working with people like you and learning the skills of an unhackable, and it's not that far out of reach. I think people think like it's impossible, there's no way, or I'm too old, right? I'm too old to make a change. Age is just a number, right? You're really not too old. I can attest to that, right?
yes.
So gosh, it was such a pleasure talking with you today. I really appreciate you being here with us, Lisa, and sharing your story, and really a personal story at that.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed talking with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, for all those watching, we really appreciate you tuning in today. If you have any questions, again, please leave them in the comments. We'll be back checking the news feed. And everybody have a wonderful, peaceful weekend. Happy Friday.